It's Monday, July 3rd, part of the 4th of July weekend. And why do we celebrate the 4th of July? Because it's Independence Day. In the United States, it's the annual celebration of nationhood. It commemorates the passage of the Declaration of Independence, which was passed by the Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776. Now, Congress had voted in favor of independence from Great Britain on July 2nd, but it did not actually complete the process of revising the Declaration of Independence, which was originally written by Thomas Jefferson. Now, Jefferson didn't write the Declaration of Independence by himself. He had several fellow committee members, like John Adams and Benjamin Franklin and Roger Sherman and William Livingston, and so it took them about 2 days to get the thing squared away. And the celebration was originally modeled after celebrating of the King's birthday in Great Britain. And that had been done annually by bell ringing and bonfires and solemn processions. And a lot of speeches, lots and lots of speeches. And these festivals had been a significant part of the lives of the Anglo-American political tradition, especially in the 17th and 18th centuries, when we had dynasty and religious controversies which was racking the British Empire, and much of the rest of Europe at that point too. And it became a battle to choose which anniversaries of historic events were celebrated and which were kind of lamented, because they had some clear political meanings. And part of the ritual was like toasting of the king, or maybe even criticizing them. And it became an informal kind of political speech. But it really became more formalized in the 18th century, the mid-18th century, when toasts were given at taverns and banquets began to be reprinted in the newspapers. Now, at the beginnings of our revolutionary movement, which was in the colonies during the 1760s and 1770s, the Patriots had used many celebrations to proclaim their resistance to the Parliament's legislation, while still admiring King George III as the real defender of English liberties. But in the first days of independence during the summer of 1776, many towns had a mock funeral for the king, because his death symbolized the end of the monarchy and the end of tyranny and the rebirth of liberty in what was to become the United States. So you see, we had a historic and triumphant victory, and it was a peaceful one. We didn't really go to battle to get our independence. In the early years of the Republic, Independence Day was celebrated by parades and oratory and toasting and ceremonies that celebrated the existence of the new nation. Of course, that grows pretty old after a while. How long can you stay a new nation? And we had a rise of informal political parties, and they provided spaces for the leaders and the constituents to get together and have national contests to independence and issues that were facing the national constituency. And Independence Day became the model for a series of very short-lived celebrations. We had George Washington's birthday, we had Jefferson's inauguration, we had a couple of things like that came and went pretty quickly. The growth and diversification of the American society was celebrated and continues to be a theme of the 4th of July, a patriotic tradition which many groups, not just political parties, joined in. We had abolitionists and women's rights advocates and the temperance movements, and then you have opponents of immigration, known as the nativists. This group was not particularly happy because they considered all immigrants to be a threat to the United States. People who came from somewhere else were bothering them. And I don't know why, because everybody came from somewhere else in the early days. All seized on this day to voice their opinion. So obviously in the early days they had many different groups coming together with different opinions. But I can't imagine that it was worse than it is today. Anyhow, in the course of the 4th of July, and in the rise of more leisure time, because remember in the beginning the workday was not a 40-hour week, it was much longer. But as we became a more leisurely nation, the 4th of July rose in importance as a major midsummer holiday. And we had a prevalence of heavy drinking and many injuries caused by setting off the fireworks. And so that prompted many reformers in the late 19th and early 20th century to mount a safe and sane 4th of July movement. Now, I still know in the early days when I moved into my house here, there were fireworks going on all the time around this period of time. But this year it seems very quiet. So I don't know what's happening to the fireworks here. But I know there will be big fireworks. And it's important to understand the meaning of fireworks. So the fireworks accompanied, patriotic parades and concerts with patriotic music. But fireworks are not an American tradition. Fireworks were started by the Chinese. The Chinese, they're number 2 right now. And the Chinese started their fireworks in the 12th century. And in the 15th century, fireworks had moved into the European nations. So when it comes to fireworks, we're Johnny-come-latelys. The importance of fireworks in this country didn't become apparent until much, much later than that happened in other countries. But I still got great pleasure in seeing the fireworks. In fact, when I had a condo that overlooked Long Island Sound, I could look across the Sound and see the shoreline of Connecticut on the 4th of July. Fireworks going off in every town, and it seemed to move from one town to the next. A beautiful, beautiful display. So I think fireworks is great. It's a wonderful tradition. And I think that it remains a potent symbol of the national power, and specifically the power of American quality. And right now, those qualities seem to be dissolved. They're under attack by what's going on in this country. But at least we have a country where we can stay at home and barbecue. So I wish you all a happy and a healthy 4th of July. Have a great day. Bye.